What you're about to witness will shake you to your core. Behind closed doors, away from the cameras, away from the millions watching around the world, two warriors who chose completely different paths stood face to face for what might be the last time. This is the story of respect, of evolution, of everything wrestling means when the lights go down and only truth remains. This is Jon Moxley saying goodbye to John Cena, and I promise you, nothing will prepare you for what this moment reveals about both men. Before we dive into this emotional journey, I need you to do something for me. If you've ever felt that raw connection to wrestling, if you've ever been moved by what happens inside that squared circle, then subscribe to SlamZone right now. Hit that notification bell because we're building something special here, a community that understands wrestling isn't just entertainment, it's life, it's passion, it's everything. We need you in this family. We need your voice in the comments. We need you to share this with everyone who's ever loved this business. Because what we're about to break down together is more than just footage, it's history, and you deserve to be part of it. Let me take you back to understand why this moment matters. Jon Moxley, the man formerly known as Dean Ambrose in WWE, the lunatic fringe who evolved into one of the most dangerous, uncompromising wrestlers on the planet. John Cena, the face of WWE for over a decade, the man who carried the company on his back through its most challenging years, the 16-time world champion who became bigger than wrestling itself. Two men, two completely different philosophies, two legends who shared the ring, who fought side by side, who respected each other even when their paths couldn't have been more different. When Moxley left WWE in 2019, he didn't just leave a company, he escaped. He broke free from chains he felt were suffocating his creativity, his passion, his very soul as a performer. He went to AEW and reminded the world why wrestling exists, why it matters, why grown adults dedicate their lives to choreographed combat that somehow feels more real than anything else. He bled. He suffered. He became a champion of violence and artistry intertwined. Meanwhile, Cena transcended, moving beyond the ring into Hollywood, into philanthropy, becoming an icon that reached far beyond the wrestling bubble. But here's what most people don't understand. Despite their different paths, despite Moxley's very public criticism of the machine Cena represented, there was always respect. Always. Because both men understood sacrifice. Both men knew what it meant to give everything for this business. And when Cena announced his retirement tour, his final year, his swan song, Moxley knew he had to say something. He had to acknowledge the man who paved roads Moxley himself would later walk, even if he walked them differently. The footage starts in a hallway. Concrete walls, dim lighting, the kind of backstage area that exists in every arena but feels sacred because of the ghosts that haunt it. You can hear the muffled roar of a crowd in the distance, thousands of people completely unaware of what's happening just beyond their sight. The camera is shaky, handheld, intimate. This isn't produced. This isn't staged. This is raw. This is real. Moxley appears first. Black leather jacket, jeans torn at the knees, that wild look in his eyes that never quite goes away even in quiet moments. His hair is damp, pulled back, and you can see the wear on his face. The scars above his eyebrows. The tired eyes of a man who's given his body to this art form without reservation. He's pacing slightly, hands in his pockets, and there's a nervousness you rarely see from him. Jon Moxley doesn't do nervous. Jon Moxley walks through fire without flinching. But this is different. This is personal. Then Cena rounds the corner. Even in his casual gear, jeans, and a simple shirt, he carries that presence. That aura that made him the franchise. He's smiling initially, the trademark Cena smile that's disarmed enemies and won over critics for 2 decades. But when he sees Moxley, the smile shifts. It becomes something deeper. Recognition. Respect. Maybe even a little sadness because both men know what this conversation represents. They approach each other and there's this pause. This beat of silence where neither man knows quite how to start. You can feel the weight of history between them. All the matches. All the locker room moments. All the roads traveled together and apart. Moxley extends his hand first, and Cena takes it immediately. No hesitation. The handshake lingers, firm, meaningful. Two warriors acknowledging each other in the way only warriors can. Moxley speaks first and his voice is different than you've ever heard it. No growl. No menace. Just honesty. I had to catch you, man, before it's too late. Before this whole thing ends and I never got to say it. Cena nods, his expression soft but attentive. I'm glad you did. What's on your mind? And here's where Moxley does something unexpected. This man who built his entire post-WWE career on being anti-establishment, on rejecting the corporate wrestling model, on spitting in the face of everything Cena represented, he gets vulnerable. I know we didn't always see eye to eye on how things should be done. I know I've said things, publicly, about the system, about the way WWE operates. And you were the centerpiece of that system. You were the guy. But I need you to understand something. The camera moves closer, almost uncomfortably close, and you can see the emotion welling up in Moxley's eyes. None of that was about you as a person. None of that was about your work ethic or your dedication or the sacrifices you made. Because I saw them. We all saw them. You carried weight that would have crushed lesser men. You showed up every single day, every single town, every single show, even when your body was breaking down, even when everyone was telling you to take time off. You were Superman because someone had to be. And I respect the hell out of that. Cena's eyes glisten. This icon, this larger-than-life figure, is genuinely moved. That means more than you know, John. It really does. But Moxley isn't finished. When I walked away, I had to find my own path. I had to figure out who I was outside of the expectations, outside of the script, outside of the machine. And I found it. I found myself bleeding in warehouses and fighting in front of crowds who wanted to see something different, something dangerous, something real. But here's the thing, John. I could only do that because you held the fort. You kept the lights on. You were the bridge between generations. You made sure wrestling survived so guys like me could reinvent it. The emotion in this hallway is suffocating. You can feel it through the screen. These aren't actors performing. These are two human beings who dedicated their lives to the same craft, the same passion, the same beautiful, brutal art form, finally acknowledging each other's journey without ego, without pretense, without anything but truth. Halfway through this moment, I need to pause and ask you something. Are you subscribed yet? Because if this is hitting you the way it's hitting me, if you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, then Slam Zone is where you belong. Hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me your favorite Jon Moxley moment or your favorite John Cena memory. Let's build this community together because wrestling needs voices like yours. It needs passion like yours. Don't just watch, be part of this. Share this video with someone who needs to understand why wrestling matters. Let's grow this family. Cena steps forward and the physical distance between them disappears. John, the fact that you went out and did it your way, that you proved there's more than one path to greatness, that legitimizes everything I believed in. I never wanted to be the only way. I never wanted WWE's way to be the only way. I wanted wrestling to be big enough, diverse enough, respected enough that guys like you could go out and create your own kingdom. And you did. You're a king in your own right. Different throne, same royalty. Moxley laughs, and it's genuine, cutting through the heavy emotion. Only you could make that sound not cheesy, man. They both laugh now, and it's beautiful because the tension breaks just enough to remind you these are friends. These are brothers in the truest sense. Not by blood, but by shared suffering, shared passion, shared understanding of what it costs to be great at this thing we call professional wrestling. I'm serious though, Cena continues, his tone shifting back to earnest. Watching what you've done in AEW, watching you become this uncompromising artist, this warrior poet covered in scars, it makes me proud. Because you took everything you learned, even the frustrations, even the things you hated, and you transformed them into something beautiful and brutal and real. That's alchemy, brother. That's magic. Moxley's jaw clenches, fighting back the full weight of his emotions. Your retirement tour, this final run, it's going to be special. Every kid who grew up with you, every fan who believed in hustle, loyalty, respect, they're going to get closure. They're going to get to say thank you. And I wanted to make sure I said it too, away from the cameras, away from the narrative, just man to man. Thank you for showing me what dedication looks like. Thank you for being tough enough to be the good guy when everyone wanted to tear you down. Thank you for lasting long enough that we could have this conversation. And then something incredible happens. Cena, John Cena, the man who almost never breaks character, who spent 15 years being the indestructible hero, tears up. Real tears, visible and unashamed. John, I don't know if I deserve all that, but I'm grateful you see it that way. I'm grateful our paths crossed. I'm grateful you're out there representing a different version of this business because wrestling needs you just as much as it ever needed me. They embrace. Not a quick hug. Not a pat on the back. A full, meaningful embrace where you can see Moxley's hand grip the back of Cena's shirt and Cena's eyes close tight like he's trying to memorize this moment. Two generations. Two philosophies. Two legends acknowledging that there's room for both, that wrestling is big enough, beautiful enough, important enough to contain multitudes. When they separate, Moxley wipes his face quickly, almost embarrassed by his own vulnerability. Go out there and remind them why you're the greatest of your generation. Close this chapter the right way. And when it's done, when you're walking away for the last time, know that guys like me will make sure what you built doesn't crumble. We'll make sure wrestling keeps evolving, keeps thriving, keeps mattering. Cena nods, his composure returning but his eyes still wet. And when your time comes, whenever that is, I hope someone half as thoughtful as you are has the guts to tell you what you meant. Because you changed things, John. You proved you could walk away from the biggest stage and still be a star. You proved loyalty to yourself is just as important as loyalty to a company. That lesson alone is worth everything. They shake hands one more time, and this time there's a finality to it. Not an ending exactly, but an acknowledgement that the next time they see each other, if there is a next time, the context will have shifted. Cena will be retired. Moxley will be carrying his torch in a different kingdom. The era they shared will be truly over. As Cena starts to walk away, he turns back one more time. Hey, Mox. Keep bleeding. Keep fighting. Keep being exactly who you are. Wrestling needs that honesty. It needs that fire. Don't ever let them tame you. Moxley smirks, the dangerous glint returning to his eyes. Not a chance. Never have. Never will. Cena disappears around the corner, and Moxley stands there alone for a moment. He takes a deep breath, rolls his shoulders, and you can see him shifting back into himself. The vulnerable moment passes, the armor goes back on, and Jon Moxley the performer, the fighter, the unbreakable force returns. But you saw what was underneath. You witnessed the human. And that makes everything he does in the ring mean so much more. This footage, this unseen moment, it reveals something crucial about wrestling that often gets lost in the spectacle. These are real people with real emotions doing something incredibly difficult for our entertainment, for their passion, for reasons that go deeper than championships or paydays. The respect between Moxley and Cena transcends company loyalty, transcends style differences, transcends everything except the shared understanding that they're part of something bigger than themselves. Cena's retirement tour is bittersweet because we're losing a legend, but knowing that he has the respect of warriors like Moxley, knowing that the next generation acknowledges what he sacrificed and achieved, it gives us hope. It tells us wrestling will continue. New legends will rise. Different styles will emerge. But the core, the heart, the reason we love this art form, that will remain constant. And Moxley, by having the courage to seek out this moment, by being willing to be vulnerable and honest and grateful, he showed a dimension of himself that reminds us why he's one of the most compelling figures in wrestling today. He's not just a tough guy. He's not just a brawler. He's an artist who understands legacy, who respects the past even as he fights to redefine the future. Before we close, I need you to do something for me one last time. Subscribe to Slam Zone. Not just because I'm asking, but because you belong here. Because we're building a community that appreciates wrestling in all its forms, that respects the Cenas and the Moxleys equally, that understands this business is about emotion, connection, and storytelling. Hit that like button. Share this with your wrestling family. Comment and tell me what this moment means to you. Let's keep this conversation going because wrestling deserves our passion. It deserves our voice. And together, we can make sure the next generation of fans understands why we care so deeply about what happens in that squared circle. This footage of Moxley's goodbye to Cena is more than a backstage moment. It's a passing of the torch. It's a recognition of respect between eras. It's proof that wrestling, at its best, brings people together even when their paths diverge. Cena will ride off into the sunset as one of the greatest to ever do it, and Moxley will continue to bleed and fight and evolve wrestling in his own image. Both legacies matter. Both stories deserve to be celebrated. And we're lucky enough to witness this transition, this beautiful, brutal, emotional transition from one era to the next. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of Slam Zone. Until next time, keep fighting for what you love, keep respecting the warriors who came before, and never forget why wrestling grabbed your heart in the first place. This is Slam Zone, and we'll see you in the next one.